you download. But just before we start, I thought I just highlight again what's expected from this particular practical. It's not a long one. I don't think it's going to take the whole morning. It's very short, but as I said before, short and to the point. Just give me the things that are required. Okay, so we've covered in the theory the 4-stroke petrol engine, 2-stroke petrol engine, and the 4-stroke diesel engine. Those are the 3 main engines that we covered already. And that coverage should now give you a fairly good idea of the practical this morning. So, okay, procedures. So the important parts in the practical manual is the procedures. And it's in here. Procedures number 1. Take photos to identify the following engine components not attached to the engine. So I'm expecting just a photo, identify. Photo, identify. Cylinder block. Well, we'll go out there and we'll point out to you where these things are. Piston and its connecting rod. Piston is normally connected with the connecting rod together. Crankshaft. Crankshaft is the one that where the piston is attached, that is rotated by the piston. The flywheel, spark plug, camshaft is the one that opens and closes the valves. Yeah, and the valves themselves. So that you need to identify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 items here. Then procedure number 2. Take photos of the machine with the following components attached and clearly labeled. Now, this is the machine that is open. You can see the parts, but they are attached. So you take a photo, 1 or 2 of the machine. I say 1 or 2 because maybe if you take it from one side, you won't be able to see the other side. So you take this side and the other side. And use some arrows to... now the problem with arrows I've encountered in the past is that when when you use those shapes, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Insert shapes. Usually I use those. But sometimes when you upload your report, the arrows are all over the place. So, I don't know, maybe you need to use a different way of identifying stuff. But I found that's the problem with where these are the arrows where you insert a shape, then you go in and you pick an arrow, and then you shape the type of arrowhead and the length and the width and the color. You know what I'm talking about now, which is nice. But when you upload it into the internet and I download it, sometimes the arrow moves around. Because the arrow is not limited to the word document. So be careful of that. It's probably better to just, I don't know, well, find some way. Take a photo of the machine with the following components attached to the label: cylinder, spark plug. Okay, some of these already covered, but they were in individual parts. Now they are stuck together. Fuel tank, oil tank, air cleaner, carburetor. So this one, let me just add that question number 1 about those different parts. Those refer to the four-stroke petrol engine, because we have one we took apart. The second question also refers to the four-stroke petrol engine. So this one, cylinder, spark plug, fuel tank, oil tank, so they will have separate. You remember the two-stroke have just one tank. The two-stroke engine has one tank where you add, the oil and fuel to get petrol. They mix outside and then pour it inside. Air cleaner, carburetor. And then B, where is the air, this is for you to answer. Where is the air cleaner output attached to? We covered this in lectures. If you don't know, still you can't remember, look in the internet. Explain why. Where is the air cleaner output attached to? So it could be just one answer. Explain why. Why is it attached to? Explain the use of the choke. I have purposely left that there. Go and find out, do a little bit of research, find out what is the use of the choke. Okay? So that's the four-stroke petrol engine. And then the B component. Because here I already. And the B part of the procedure is move to the four-stroke diesel engine. That's the engine at the back there. We'll move down there in a while, in a short while. Take a photo or photos of the engine and identify four of these main differences that can be clearly seen in the photos. Now, I think you'll find that's not it's not easy to see the differences. For example, difference in the fuel. You won't be able to identify that using a photo. It will be easy to identify, for example, one of the main things is the fuel injector. Diesel has the fuel injector, it doesn't have the spark plug, so that's one. Yeah. Think of another one. Okay. Take photos to identify the fuel supply system, the fuel tank, fuel filter, fuel lines, fuel pumps, fuel injectors. Write a short paragraph to explain what is meant by the term leading a diesel engine. We discussed this yesterday, so you should remember, find out more information. If you can't, don't, is enough. Remove the air cleaner, answer the following. What type of air cleaner is it? Which part of the engine is it attached to? That is for you to think about the lecture we had yesterday. Why is it attached to it? So as I say, these are for you to answer, one sentence or two sentences. And then take a photo of the fuel injector, the valves, the piston, the cylinder. So that's the this is two-stroke petrol engine. Take a photo of the engine and label the following. We have a machine down there which we'll bring over there. So this one is just take a photo and identify the parts by looking at the machine. Cylinder, spark plug, fuel tank, carburetor, air cleaner, engine speed control, choke. All of these things you can see from the outside. Where is the air cleaner output attached to? Again, that's for you to think about and explain why. Short, one sentence, answer one. second sentence answer the other one. What is the most obvious evidence to confirm that this is a two-stroke petrol engine? We know it will have two tanks. One is the oil tank, which is down here. This is the petrol tank. Anyway, the cylinder block really is is this part here. Here. It's this part. We used to have a cylinder block. Just identify it on this arm. Cylinder block. But piston and connecting rod. This is the connecting rod. This is the piston. Crankshaft. This is the crankshaft. Now you notice that the crankshaft looks very much like the camshaft. Many people mistake the two. The main difference is the crankshaft has this, it's offset. It's not straight from here all the way down. There is an offset here at this part. Whereas the camshaft is a straight thing. These are the two knobs for opening and closing the valves. And this is where the piston is connected. The flywheel, this is the flywheel. This is the one that connects to here, so that it can turn. Like this one here, this is the flywheel. Camshaft, this one. Inlet and exhaust valves, these two here, because they, this one and this one, these are the valves. They go up and down. Open, goes up, push up by the camshaft, and close, pull down by the springs. Okay, for the cylinder block, just identify this part. You can in fact just take one photo and identify each one on a single photo. You don't have to take separate photos, just take one. The main thing is that you can identify these parts. Okay, and then you take a photo or photos of these things attached. Cylinder. So somehow you need to. The cylinder is, you can normally tell by it has these fins, these metal fins attached to the cylinder here. So this is the cylinder here. You look up from the top, this is the cylinder, and this is the side of the cylinder here, this small one. Now these fins, the top of the fins is to take the heat from because once combustion occurs inside the cylinder on the top of the piston, this will be very hot, so the heat is moved by what? What's the process? Heat. Conduction. When heat moves from one part of a metal to another part, it's through conduction. When it moves through the air, it's called what? Convection. Anyway, the heat moves from the top of the piston through the metal, through the metal part of the wall of the cylinder, and then comes out through these fins, the heat, and you can see the surface area is enlarged so that air can go through and take the heat away. In this case, this flywheel acts as a fan. It blows air onto these fins and takes the heat away. So this is what's called which is this engine here. This is called an air-cooled engine. You use air to cool the engine. Cooling an engine is absolutely important, because if you don't cool down the engine, remove the heat, you destroy the machine because of the buildup of heat inside. So two ways of removing the heat. One is using air, like this one, and the other one is using water, like your car. It has it's cooled down by water. Anyway, cylinder, spark plug. Yeah, so this is the spark plug. Fuel tank, this one. This is where you open it up, put in the water. You can, in fact, take this one as well to help you identify. You see, this is the oil tank. This is the crankcase. Remember, this is the crankcase. This is the crankshaft, and below the crankshaft is where the crankcase is located. And as I said, in fact, this is the oil tank. This is you open the oil tank using this one here and that one there. So when the piston goes up, the oil moves up as well. When the piston goes down, it moves down as well, which is why the oil ring. Talk about the oil ring. So this is the oil tank. This is the oil tank down here. This is full of oil when the engine is running. And this is the petrol tank. Because it mentions there the oil tank. Air cleaner. This is the air cleaner. We've taken out the air cleaner from here, but this is the air cleaner. The air goes inside. There's a filter inside here, filters the air, and then the air is sucked into the engine, to the carburetor. This is the carburetor. All these things starting from here to here is the carburetor. You know it's a carburetor because the air is connected to the carburetor. The petrol is also connected to the carburetor. The carburetor mixes them together in the right proportion, and you use the this one. Well, you can see here there are these screws here and here. These are used to tune the engine, increase the air, increase the fuel, to get the balance. Tuning. So these are tuning screws to either increase or one thing and increase the other thing. So in the carburetor here. So petrol comes from the tank to the carburetor. Air goes from the air cleaner into the carburetor, mixed together, and then during the induction stroke, the piston moves down, the intake valve opens, and the mixture goes inside. This is the exhaust valve. The reason I know that is because it's attached to the muffler. This is the muffler. This is where the smoke comes out. And you can see it's attached directly to the exhaust valve. So during the exhaust stroke, piston goes up. This is the fourth stroke. Piston goes up. The exhaust valve opens and pushes air out through the muffler. But the carburetor is required here to be identified, so you need to point it out. This is the choke. Anybody know what the choke is? Explain the use of the choke. When you pull it out, you open the air. You increase more air to go in. When you sorry, it's the other way around. When you pull it, you close the air. You make the space smaller. When you push it in, you make the space bigger. More air goes in. When you pull it out, less air goes into the carburetor. And the reason for that is it's a control. You pull it out, you decrease the space of air, less air, more petrol. When you push it in a normal position, now it has a balance of air and petrol. And the reason for this is when the machine is sitting around for a long time, it's very hard to start. So in order, you do that for the brush cutter. So in order to give every opportunity to the machine to start, you decrease the amount of air and you increase the petrol so that it'll make it easier to start. More petrol, less air, hopefully it will cause it to start more quickly. So, and then once it's running, then you push it back in and it's going into normal. So that's the use of the choke. Again, the use of the choke is to, when you operate it, you decrease the amount of air into the carburetor, you increase and therefore increase petrol so that the engine can start better, more efficiently. Yeah? So I just answer that question for you. Where is the air cleaner output attached to? Huh? Where is the air cleaner output? This is the air cleaner. Its output is attached down there to where? This is the air cleaner attached to where? Carburetor. The air cleaner outlet is attached to the air cleaner is attached to the carburetor. The petrol tank is attached to the carburetor. The choke is part of the carburetor. And the carburetor is attached to the inlet or intake valve. The exhaust valve is attached to the muffler. Yeah? That's procedure number 2. So that's the, this is the cylinder. You can see the piston. See the piston going up, going down. This is the flywheel. And you can see it's a very big cylinder, because it's a diesel engine. So, although it's a small engine, it's very strong. So there's a high compression ratio. So that's the piston coming out and going back in. It's attached to the crankshaft, just like the other engine, and attached to the flywheel. This is a diesel tank. Okay, so what's required? Study this engine carefully. Note the main differences between this engine and the 4-stroke petrol engine. Take a photo to identify these. Now, that's an unfair question because you can't identify, for example, the main differences is the diesel, the different fuel, but you can't see any different fuel here. The only two that can be clearly seen is that this is a very heavy equipment, so and it's also the cylinder is big and it's strong, high compression, so it must be a diesel engine. Because for the petrol engine it will be smaller cylinder, less strong. The other difference you can see is in the petrol engine, like the one we just saw, on top of the cylinder, there's a spark plug. For this one, there's no spark plug, but you can see here, this is the fuel injector. Here. The two valves, the exhaust and the inlet valves, and this is the exhaust valve. How do you know this is the exhaust valve? Huh? Yeah. Connect to the exhaust. That's true. This is the exhaust. This is the muffler. Ah, yeah. This is the no. This is the exhaust. This is the exhaust. You are wrong. This is where the muffler is connected. This is where the smoke goes out. This is where the air. This is the intake. This is the intake stroke. This is where the air goes in. Remember during the induction stroke, only air goes inside. So in a diesel engine, the air. So that's another difference. You can see this is the air cleaner. This is an oil bath air cleaner. There's oil at the bottom. Air comes from, when this is working in the field, air goes inside, and then any of the big rubbish like leaves and the big ones are cleared from here. They can't enter because they are too big. So the big rubbish is first of all get rid of it from here. The smaller rubbish can go in, and they go in through this part outside. And at the bottom here is oil. So the air goes into the oil, mix with the oil, and then come up through the filter. So this is filtered again. So in fact, this one is 1, 2, 3 filter. The air is filtered 3 times. So that any small amount of dust is not allowed to get in. And then this is connected to this inlet pipe, and it's connected directly to the intake valve. So induction stroke, piston goes down, the intake valve opens, air goes inside. The power stroke is the third one, and that's when the fuel injector, this part, sprays the diesel through here into the hot air, causing combustion, and that's why this is called compression ignition engine, because there's no spark plug. Any questions? One difference is the fuel injector instead of the spark plug. The size of the cylinder and the heavy metal constructing this. And a third one is the fact that the exhaust, air cleaner is attached directly to the intake valve. 3, yeah.
So if there's a problem with the valve, it's because of the air cleaner
Which valve?
inside here. We need to change the.
Oh yeah, you need to service this every so often. Change the oil, but you need to clean this. Either clean it or change the filter. You need to follow the recommendations in the manual. Because in the manual it says every certain number of hours you need to check the filter, change the oil, do the maintenance stuff. This one, this here is the pump. Diesel. It's a fuel tank, fuel filter, it's a fuel filter, fuel lines. So from here, goes down here, and then goes into the pump, and then the pump pumps the diesel and comes out of the fuel injector into the cylinder. So for this one, this is the most important pump. This is the fuel pump. It's important that no air is allowed to get into the hose between the tank and any of these parts. So, four-stroke diesel, fuel tank, fuel filter, fuel lines, fuel pump is this one, and fuel injector is this one. Write a short paragraph to explain bleeding. We already covered that in class, so do that again. Remember, very short, 1 or 2 sentences. What is bleeding a diesel fuel engine? Removing gas bubbles from the fuel line. Finish. But don't write a whole essay on it. Okay, remove the air cleaner. This is what type of air cleaner we just did there. This is an air bath air cleaner. Sorry, an oil bath air cleaner. There's an illustration of this in your course notes. In the course notes, there's which part of the engine is it attached to? Which is this attached to? Inlet valve. Inlet valve. Because in the induction stroke, only air goes inside. So it must be attached to the inlet valve. As soon as the piston goes down in. Okay, so that's the diesel engine. Any questions? Okay, 2-stroke. Take a photo of this engine and label the photo of the cylinder. One, but in service, but this one will do quite fine. This is also a 2-stroke engine. All chainsaws are 2-stroke engines. The main thing about 2-stroke engines is that the oil for lubrication are mixed together with the petrol. Now, for the diesel engine, it has its own oil tank. Although it is not seen there, it will have its own oil tank, separate oil tank, separate fuel tank. Same with this one. This 4-stroke petrol engine you saw. It's a separate oil tank, separate fuel tank. But in this machine, let's say this fuel tank, which runs on petrol, will also mix together with the oil. What you do is you mix the oil. This is the 2-cycle motor oil this is the oil for the 2-stroke engine. You have to make sure it says 2-cycle or 2-stroke. You can't use. See, this is the engine oil. This is the oil for the 4-strokes. It's got these numbers: SAE 10W to 40. The bigger the number, the thicker the oil. The hotter the country, the thicker the oil you need. For Samoa and the Pacific, where it's very hot, you need to use SAE 30 at least, or SAE 40. When you have a 10W, it means a thin oil. 10W, W usually means winter. 10 winter. So in countries like New Zealand, where it's very cold, you would be using this kind of oil, SAE 10W. But this is what's called a multi-grade oil, meaning that it can be used for both cold countries and hot countries. So you don't have to change the oil. Otherwise, when it's hot, you need to change to a thicker oil. When it's cold, you need to change to a thinner oil. SAE stands for the Automotive Engineering, Society of Automotive Engineering. They are the ones who set the standards for across the world for the type of oil for the Pacific. But usually it will be more expensive because they have to add stuff in order to make it a special oil. But I normally use the oil that's in the supermarkets in town. It's got AG134 written on it. So you can use that one. Anyway, for two-stroke engines, you use two cycle. And that is mixed into we will do that similar to this one. But you need to identify the cylinder, no, the fins, remember maybe you can, here, like this. This is the cylinder. The fins for getting the heat out of the cylinder. So that's the cylinder there. Spark plug, normally on top of the, it's on top of the cylinder, so it should be somewhere here. Can you find oh here, sorry. Here. Okay, so this is the cylinder. This one has the cylinder head at the bottom. So you can see it. You can turn it around. The fuel tank, carburetor, the choke is somewhere around here. This one. This one is stuck. Goes up and down, but this is the carburetor because this the air cleaner is here somewhere, and then it's mixed together with the petrol. Petrol comes down into the carburetor, air goes in here, mix goes inside the cylinder. So this is the carburetor. Air cleaner, well, it used to be stuck here on this side, but you need to the air cleaner for this one I think was used to be here, but it's taken away. Okay. And attached to the carburetor. This would be the choke, this part. It's a little bit clearer on the other machine, but they've taken it to be fixed. It has the 4-stroke petrol. Both the air and the petrol are mixed in the carburetor before they are taken in. What is the most obvious evidence confirm that this is a 2-stroke petrol engine? Many people put down it has a spark plug, but so does the 4-stroke petrol. It also has a spark plug. What's the most obvious evidence that this is a 2-stroke?
Fuel is mixed with a 2-stroke. Wait.
What? Only what? It has one cylinder. It has one cylinder.
Fuel is mixed with a 2-stroke. Fuel is mixed with a 2-stroke. Fuel is mixed with the.
Fuel is mixed with the oil.
Yeah.
It is the only engine where oil is mixed together with it. The diesel has an separate oil tank. That one has an oil tank. This one doesn't. Because the oil is mixed together with the petrol. And when the petrol goes into the burned, into the cylinder, it lubricates the cylinder, lubricates the crankcase because it goes in the bottom first. And then goes through the transfer port, then it lubricates and then gets burnt. But then as it's burnt, more oil fuel comes up to lubricate. So the oil tank, and but it has only one fuel tank. The oil and petrol are mixed. It must be a 2-stroke engine. Now there is there is a misconception with this one. This one, the chainsaw does have a separate oil tank, but that oil tank is not for the engine. That is for the chain outside. That oil doesn't go inside the engine; it stays outside. So the chainsaw is a two-stroke engine. It has a separate oil tank, but not for the engine. It is for the chain, to lubricate the chain. Any questions?